بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ولي الصالحين وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، الحمد لله. We, inshallah, this evening be looking at, inshallah, some of the verses and some of the narrations regarding an important matter, and that is regarding security comes with the tawheed. Guidance comes with the tawheed, and comes with worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone and keeping away from His disobedience. And insecurity comes with ignorance and comes with shirk, bid'ah, and sins. And that you will find with the people of innovation, the innovators, the people of takfeer, which we'll be looking at in particular. And we'll start off with two narrations. One of them, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to show you that ignorance could be a reason for you to kill yourself and to kill others. One of them is the narration where the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned about a man who had committed so many bad deeds, and he said to his family, when I die, then burn my body and throw the ashes in the sea and on land, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not put me back together again, because he's done so many bad deeds. He told his family to do this, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not put his body back together and call him to account for all these bad deeds. And that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned about that individual, he was ignorant of the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put him back. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave him because he was ignorant. And he also believed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to punish him. So, ignorance could be an excuse. Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah mentioned this when we visited him in Unayza, Allah yarhamhu, many years ago. He mentioned this narration to me, and he mentioned it also in Qawaid al-Muthla. Afterwards I saw it in there, that ignorance can be an excuse for a person who falls into a matter of disbelief or falls into kufr, and kufr has levels, that ignorance could be an excuse. Maybe he didn't intend the kufr. And secondly, he may not have, he didn't have knowledge of the affair. He didn't have knowledge of the affair. In this matter, he didn't have knowledge. This man who said to his family members to burn my body and throw the ashes into the sea and on land, he didn't have knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can bring him back. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave that particular individual. So knowledge is important. You don't go around calling Muslims kuffar. Knowledge is important for before you make takfir upon a person. And the second condition is that the person must intend the kufr. The person must intend the kufr. And the proof of that is the man who said, "Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala," after losing his provisions and then finding it, "Oh Allah, you are my slave and I am your Lord." He said a statement of kufr, and still, and that is because of amazement. He was so amazed, he was so happy. أَخْطَأَ مِنْ شِدَّةِ فَرَحِهِ. He made a mistake from the extreme happiness that he was upon. And he said a statement of kufr, and that he didn't intend that kufr. So two narrations showing you clearly that you can't perform takfir upon a Muslim just like that. He has to intend the kufr, and he has to intend the kufr, and secondly, he has to have knowledge of what he is doing. He mustn't be ignorant of that fact. That was actually not the two narrations that I was looking for, but anyway, that is a benefit, inshallah, regards the issue of takfir. But the two narrations that I was looking for was the two narrations that Shaykh Salih Sahimi mentions in the Haram, which one day we heard. He mentioned that two reasons could be a reason for a person to kill himself and kill others. The first of them is the man who killed 99 men. And he killed 99 men when he came to a learned, supposedly, he wasn't a learned, but he was a priest, a rabbi or worshipper. And he asked him, can I be forgiven? And he said, no. And because of his ignorance, it was a reason for him to be killed. And the second narration is the man who had a gash on his head. And he said to those around him, do I still have to use water for the ablution and so on? And they said to him, yes. And he died. And the Prophet ﷺ was very angry about that. And that is another proof. That's the second proof to show you that ignorance could be a reason for a person to kill, others. And this is the way of the people of innovation, is that they are not upon knowledge, they are upon ignorance. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions Surah Al-An'am, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَلَمْ يَلْبِسُوا إِيمَانَهُمْ بِظُلْمٍ أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمُ الْأَمْنُ وَهُمْ مُهْتَدُونَ. Those who truly believe and do not spoil their belief with the severest of oppressions, and that is shirk, they're the ones who will have security, and they're the ones who will be guided. And who are they? They are the people of Tawheed. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَلَمْ يَلْبِسُوا إِيمَانَهُمْ بِظُلْمٍ أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمُ الْأَمْنُ وَهُمْ مُهْتَدُونَ. And Shaykh Abdurrahman al-Sa'di rahimahullah, in the tafsir of this verse, he says, if you want complete security, then you have to be upon Tawheed and keep away from disobedience. Tawheed, which will keep you away from the greatest oppression, which is shirk, and also disobedience, which will keeping away from disobedience will give you also the aman at-tam. He called it al-aman at-tam, complete security. And as for the ones who don't get complete security, but they have some security, they're upon Tawheed, but they fall upon into disobedience. They will have security, but not complete security. That is the second level. And he said the last of them and the worst of them is the one who has no Tawheed. He is upon shirk, and he is upon disobedience to Allah. This one has no security at all. If you were to look at the ummah at large, you will see places where there is not much security, or where there is a lot of killing. Then you see the Muslim ummah in general, and you will see Muslims have fallen into shirk, and Muslims have fallen into the disobedience of Allah. So how will they get complete security? How will they be able to get even that security, the asal of security? It's not there. And that is because they have left that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated for them. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give victory to those who give victory to His deen. And first and foremost is at-Tawheed. And straight after those verses in Surah Al-An'am, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has raised Ibrahim. Because Ibrahim alayhi salam was upon Tawheed. So after he mentioned about Ibrahim alayhi salam calling his father to Tawheed and so on, and then saying that you and your people are in clear error, and he mentioned that, how can I fear that which you have committed shirk with? You have committed shirk with Allah. How can I fear that? Naam, when you do not fear that you have committed shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so how can I fear for your idols? Because they said to him, fear the idols, they will harm you. But Ibrahim alayhi salam, after affirming Tawheed to them and showing them that he does not fear their idols, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that security will be with the people of Tawheed. No doubt. And then afterwards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, تِلْكَ حُجَّتُنَا وَتِلْكَ حُجَّتُنَا أَتَيْنَاهَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ عَلَى قَوْمِهِ نَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتٍ مَنْ نَشَاءُ إِنَّ رَبَّكَ حَكِيمٌ عَلِيمٌ. Such is the hujjah, the proof that we have given Ibrahim to his people. وَتِلْكَ حُجَّتُنَا أَتَيْنَاهَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ عَلَى قَوْمِهِ over his people. إِنَّ رَبَّكَ تلك حجتنا أتيناها إبراهيم على قومه نرفع درجات من نشاء. We raise whom we will, many levels. نرفع درجات من نشاء إن ربك حكيم عليم. We raise whom we will, many levels. And who is it that Allah has raised? The people of Tawheed. He's raised Ibrahim alayhi salatu salam, he was upon Tawheed. And who else does Allah raise? Shaykh Abdul Rahman al-Sa'idi rahimahullah, in his tafsir of those verses, he says, and those with the hujjah. Because what did Allah raise Ibrahim with? Is the hujjah. وَتِلْكَ حُجَّتُنَا آتَيْنَاهَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ عَلَى قَوْمِهِ نَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتٍ مَنْ نَشَاءُ. Allah has raised Ibrahim alayhi salam with that hujjah, with that proof. So who is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has raised then in this ummah? With hujjah, with proof, with knowledge. It is the people of knowledge, the ulama. And the takfiriyun, the people of takfir, they are not people of knowledge. They are in the opposite. They don't have the hujjah of Allah. Because you will find them ignorant. Their ignorance is a reason for them to kill themselves. And their ignorance is a reason for them to kill others. As young as 16, as 15, as 17, going out, committing suicide or suicide operations, killing themselves, without realizing that the Prophet ﷺ forbade these suicide operations, without realizing the Prophet ﷺ has forbidden the killing of innocent people, whether they are men, women, children. The Prophet ﷺ forbade that. So let's look at what is it that the Prophet ﷺ has forbidden. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ دِمَاءَكُمْ وَأَمْوَالَكُمْ وَأَعْرَاضٌ حَرَامٌ عَلَيْكُمْ كَحُرْمَةِ هَذَا الْيَوْمِ كَحُرْمَةِ هَذَا الْبَلَدِ. Indeed, your blood, your property, and your honor is sacred like the sacredness of this day, Yawm Arafah, like the sacredness of this place. The Prophet ﷺ forbade the killing of another Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ forbade the killing of the one who said La ilaha illallah. When he said to Usama bin Zayd radiyallahu anhu, أَقَتَلْتَهُ وَقَالَ لَا إِلَى اللَّهِ, you killed him while he said La ilaha illallah. That was in a battlefield. And the mushrik said La ilaha illallah when Usama was about to strike him. So Usama said, he only said La ilaha illallah to save himself. The Prophet said, هَلْ شَقَقْتَ عَنْ قَلْبِهِ, did you open his chest, his breast, and see his heart to see sincerely he said La ilaha illallah or not? So killing a Muslim is forbidden, no doubt. And killing also a non-Muslim who has a pact between you and him, mu'ahad. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man qatala mu'ahadan lam yarih ra'ihat al-jannah." Whoever kills a mu'ahad, one who has a pact between you and him, will not smell the fragrance of paradise. If a person does that, he will not smell the fragrance of paradise, even though this fragrance can be smelled at a distance of 40 years. Even though its fragrance can be smelled at a distance of 40 years. And who is that mu'ahad? Those non-Muslims, for example, who live in a Muslim country. They are called mu'ahad. They are the ones who have a pact between you and them. Those who have a pact, you don't go around killing them. Not all of the people are in a battlefield. You are in this country. In England or in America or in Europe, you are not in a battlefield. Rather, you live in side by side, just like the Muslims who lived side by side with the Christians in Ethiopia. When the Prophet ﷺ sent some of the companions because of the persecution in Mecca, when they were persecuted severely in Mecca, he allowed for some of the Muslims to migrate to Habasha, to Ethiopia, and they lived side by side with the Christians, and they gave dawah to them, to the extent that even the king, Al-Najashi, became a Muslim. And this is the dawah of Rasulullah ﷺ. He would write letters to various kings, calling them to Islam. For example, saying to them, this is from the Messenger of Allah to such and such, and inviting them to Islam. This is the way of Rasulullah ﷺ. When he said to Ali radiallahu anhu, لَإِنْ يَهْدِيَ اللَّهُ بِكَ رَجُلًا وَاحِدًا خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنْ حُمْرِ نِعَمٍ. For Allah to guide through you one person, it is better for you than a red she-camel. So guidance is what the Prophet ﷺ used to call the people to, calling them to accept Islam. Better for you than the red she-camel. To call to a tawheed, calling the people to salvation and mercy. But what we find with the takfiriyun and the khawarij is that they kill to the last drop of blood. This is their da'wah. There is no peace treaty like Rasulullah ﷺ did the peace treaty of Hudaybiyah. For them there's no peace treaty. There is no stopping from killing. Jihad is day and night for them. that they have, and jihad is only one thing for them, and that is to kill, to kill, to kill. How and who gets killed? There's no rules, no laws. For them there's no knowledge of how it's done and how they perform the atrocities. Rather, just kill to the last drop of blood, as they mention in some of their writings. And I'll read you some of their writings that they have mentioned, or some statements from their tapes that's recorded. The Prophet ﷺ said, in hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, أن امرأة وجدت في بعض مغازي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مقتولة فأنكر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قتل النساء والصبيان. That the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, Abdullah ibn Umar said that there was a woman that was found killed in one of the battles. And the Prophet ﷺ, when he saw that woman being killed, he made inkar, he forbade the killing of women and children in the battlefield. And that is in a hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, hadith number 2851, and in Muslim 1744. The forbiddance of killing women and children in a battlefield. How about if you're not in a battlefield? How about the 7/7, 9/11? You're not in a battlefield. And yet we have the likes of these Khawarij, takfeeriyun, praising these killings, going against the hadith of Rasulullah. Bukhari and Muslim agreed upon, going against these narrations. The Prophet made inkar the killing of women and children in a battlefield. 9/11 was not a battlefield. People getting killed and jumping out windows from tall buildings. This is not a battlefield. And yet, they go against this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and praising these killings. In fact, Umar Bakri, the previous head of Hizb al-Tahrir, he said about those who went into those buildings, he called them the Magnificent 19. The Magnificent 19, he called them. Osama bin Laden praised the killing of 9/11. And we find them praising the killings also of other bombs. And in there, I have the statement they have mentioned, the Qaida statement, if you like, the manifesto. In 2005, they put out a manifesto where they say that our way is to what? Is to continue the struggle of killing, of jihad, they call it. And this is not jihad, it is fasad, it is corruption. And they also mention in there to blow up embassies, to blow up. Yani, this is their means. The Rasul ﷺ did not do that. Is there anyone that was persecuted more than Rasulullah ﷺ? No. The Rasul ﷺ was persecuted the most. And he said to the woman, whose child had passed away, he said to her, if you have any calamity, then remember my calamity. Remember my calamity. Rasulullah ﷺ went through hardship in Mecca. He was harmed. When he went to Taif and he called the people of Taif to Islam. They threw stones at him and they mocked him. In the battle of Uhud, his incisor tooth was chipped and his head had been hit until he bled. The Rasul ﷺ went through hardship the most. There isn't anyone who's gone through more hardship than the Rasulullah ﷺ. And yet, the Prophet ﷺ, even after being driven out of Mecca, arriving in Medina, he said to Ali radiallahu anhu, the non-Muslims of Mecca have entrusted me with their wealth. Even though they drove me out, they entrusted me with their wealth, so give their wealth back to them. The Rasul ﷺ upheld the rights. He wasn't one to deceive. Even non-Muslims, he wasn't one to deceive. Rasulullah ﷺ came to establish truth and justice, because this deen is based upon justice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُلْ أَمْرَ رَبِّي بِالْقِسْطِ. Indeed, your Lord has commanded with al-qist, with justice. With being upon the balanced way, with being upon justice. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُ بِالْعَدْلِ وَالْإِحْسَانِ. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands with al-adl and al-ihsan and righteousness. And also, in the other verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, وَتَمَّتْ كَلِمَةُ رَبِّكَ صِدْقًا وَعَدْلًا. The words of your Lord have been completed with truth and justice. And Ibn Kathir rahimahullah mentioned in his tafsir, وَتَمَّتْ كَلِمَةُ رَبِّكَ صِدْقًا وَعَدْلًا. صِدْقًا فِي الْأَخْبَارِ وَعَدْلًا فِي الْأَوَامِرِ وَالنَّوَاهِ. That this Quran, the words of Allah have been completed with truth in terms of the news that has reached us, and with justice in terms of commanding and forbidding. So there's no one is allowed then to go against the commandment of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Those who do that, then a fitna will befall them, or a grievous punishment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَلْيَحْذَرِ الَّذِينَ يُخَالِفُونَ عَنْ أَمْرِهِ أَن تُصِيبَهُمْ فِتْنَةٌ وَيُصِيبَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. Let those who go against my command, let those beware who go against my command, lest a fitna, a trial or tribulation will befall them, or a grievous punishment. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade the killing of women and children in a battlefield. How about outside the battlefield then? How about the shoe bomber then, who tried to blow up a whole plane, and which is full of women and children? How about the 7-7? How about the pants bomber, the one who tried to put a bomb in his underpants and blow up again another plane? What is this? This is injustice. And this is also, it goes against the commandment of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as we have mentioned the hadith in Bukhari and Muslim. إن امرأة وجدت في بعض مغازي الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم مقتولة فأنكر الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم قتل النساء والصبيان. Prophet forbade the killing of women and children. Let's look at the next narration. نعم. Where the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, وعن ابن عصام المزني عن أبيه قال بعثنا رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم في سرية فقال إذا رأيتم مسجدا أو سمعتم مؤذنا فلا تقتلوا أحدا. Prophet ﷺ sent some of the companions upon a expedition, and he said, if you see a masjid or hear the adhan, then don't kill anyone, don't fight anyone. Why? Because you might end up killing a Muslim unjustly. Na'am. Whereas you'll find now what's happening in Iraq and in Syria, there are Khawarij factions fighting against each other, because each one is seeking position. For the Khawarij, it's always been dunya. Their father, Dhul Khawaisra, he said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "I'dil ya Muhammad, be just, O Muhammad." When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was giving out booty, na'am, they wanted the booty for themselves, and they said, "Be just, O Muhammad," because they wanted a share of that. And so they sought the dunya, and they continue to seek the dunya. And so, what is their dunya? Is authority, is seeking position. And this is why you have this one saying, I'm the Khalifa, another one saying, I'm the Khalifa, the Qaida, the Maqdisi, one of the followers of the Qaida saying that your ISIS Khalifat is batil, is null and void, rather it is our da'wah, it is our jihad, not your, this is the right jihad, but your call to Khalifat is wrong. So you find them all fighting each other, and all arguing. Even Hizb al-Tahrir. See, Hizb al-Tahrir, for years they've been putting orange stickers calling for Khilafah in the most difficult of places. Climbing, I don't know how they get to the tallest lamppost, but they put these Khalifa orange stickers. They used to put them around London, and sometimes even on bridges. You wonder how they got there. Na'am, so much mashaqqa in trying to put an orange sticker to establish the Khalifa. Now there's somebody who called for Khalifa, called for Khilafah, saying that he's the Khalifa. Now, what do they say from Lebanon, their headquarters? They said, oh, it is illegitimate Khilafah. Why? Because they said it's not secure. Yani, it's not secure, and also he doesn't have full control over the country. So you can see amongst the Khawarij themselves, amongst the Takfiriyun themselves, they are differing, they are fighting, and they are killing each other. And in one of the videos that we saw as well, we see them over the radio fighting each other, calling each other names. Oh, you are kafir. No, you are kafir. Calling each other kuffar. Because to them, making takfir is easy. The Rasul said, Man qala li akhihi ya kafir, faqad ba'a bihi ahaduhuma. Whoever says to his brother, oh, disbeliever, it falls on one of the two. Making takfir on your Muslim brother is not allowed. It's haram. But for them, they will say things, silly statements, clumsy statements like this Abu Walid, he said, I see that all the Muslim leaders, all of them are kuffar. He already said they're Muslim. I see that all the Muslim leaders are kuffar. You said they're Muslim, Yafi. So you find them saying clumsy statements. Umar Bakri, the same. Anjem Chowdhury, the same. And they had a poster many years ago, we used to remember, why all the leaders are kuffar. Now, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, before you call a Muslim a kafir, the one who says La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, you can't take somebody out of Islam who has come into Islam with yaqeen. You can't take him out except with yaqeen. So how is it that you're taking him out of Islam without establishing the proof upon that individual? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Min ba'di ma tabayyana lahu al-huda. After guidance has been conveyed to him. Have you conveyed to him? Maybe he's ignorant, maybe he didn't intend, but did you establish the hujjah upon all the leaders? You didn't. So call a Muslim a kafir, just like that. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned also about, look how the Prophet ﷺ mentioned even about those non-Muslims in a battle. That you're in a battle and you come across a church, for example, a monastery or church or place of worship for the Christians, for example. عن ابن عباس أن الرسول رضي الله عنهما أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم كان إذا بعث جيوشه قال لا تقتلوا أصحاب الصوامع. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, Ibn Abbas رضي الله عنه said that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, whenever he would send an army, he would say, do not kill the ashab al-sawami'. Who are they? They are the priests in their place of worship, in their own place of worship. Just like the Muslims, they have masjid, they have places of worship, like a church or ministry, because they have nothing to do with any war. They're in their place. Prophet forbade that. Hadith, which is Hasan, which is mentioned in Muslim Imam Ahmad, and Al-Tahawi mentioned also, in Ma'ani al-Athar, and Al-Bayhaqi mentioned in Sunnah al-Kubra, Na'am, and Al-Arnaud said, Hasan li ghayrihi. Narration that is, Na'am, due to the supporting narrations authentic, that you don't kill those in the, but you find these Khawarij, let alone priests, just anyone in the streets. If it happens that they get killed, they say, in jihad, even though we know that what they're doing is not jihad, but if it happens that they get killed, Abu Qatada says, then mistakes happen, he said, as if it is a light matter. Mistakes happen, he says. And I will quote to you some of their statements just to show you how ignorant these people are, and how clumsy they are. First of all, what is it that is their goal? Maududi, for example, from these political activists, he said that the goal, he says, therefore the goal aspired for in the messengership of the prophets did not cease to be the establishment of the Islamic government upon the earth. This is their goal, is to establish the Islamic government upon the earth, the Khilafah. Whereas the goal, Allah mentioned in the Quran, the goal, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. This is the goal, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They can't even establish a masjid for worshipping Allah. Hizb al-Tahrir has been in this country for how many years? And how many years has it been going? How many decades has it been going? They haven't even got one masjid in this country. All these years, you want to establish a state, you can't establish a masjid. You can't establish salah. Allah says, أَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ لِلذِّكْرِ. Establish the prayer for my remembrance. So Maududi, this political activist, he says, therefore the goal aspired in the messengership of the prophets did not cease to be the establishment of the Islamic government upon the earth. What kind of Islamic government is it that he's seeking? And these Khawarij generally seek. And these people of innovation, the takfeeriyun, these political activists, what is it that they seek? Any government? What is it that they seek? Khomeini says, Maududi says, Khomeini's revolution is an Islamic revolution. This is what they seek. As long as some form of Islamic government, whether it is upon Shi'ism, cursing or reviling the companions, doesn't matter to them, as long as it's some form of revolution, Islamic revolution, he calls it. Those who participated in it are the Islamic group, and the youth, he says, experience Islamic education in this movement. Furthermore, it is upon all the Muslims in general to assist it. Assist what? This government of the Khomeini revolution. Who says that? Maududi. Whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أَنْ يَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ, showing you the da'wah of all the prophets. Indeed, we have ordained on we have sent to every nation that they call to the worship of Allah and keep away from the false deities. So is Khomeini's revolution a revolution established upon worshipping Allah alone or upon shirk? So the way of Hizb al-Tahrir and the Muhajirun and they're staying in this country. The way of Hizb al-Tahrir And the way of the Muhajir is what? Is it to establish the worship of Allah alone? No. Rather, if you look at the teacher, Taqiyuddin al-Nabhani, he mentions that the matter is of establishing Islamic State, even if it means that you have in the Shura those who are not Sunni. Those are not upon Sunnah of the Messenger ﷺ. Rather, he himself says that we are allowed to reject a hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ if it goes against our intellect. This is Taqiyuddin al-Nabhani, the Aqlani, and alhamdulillah, we have one whole tape just on Taqiyuddin al-Nabhani's statements, with page numbers, with the mention of the book. We have that, and it's available in Markaz Mu'ad ibn al-Jabal, just on Taqiyuddin al-Nabhani, to show you the head of Hizb al-Tahrir. What is he upon? What was he upon? And to show you that these people are innovators. And these people are following the way of the Khawarij. Sayyid Qutb, another political activist of theirs, that they hold in high esteem, because it's all about politics. Even though he criticized Uthman radiallahu anhu, and he said that Uthman radiallahu anhu, that the Khilafah is Abu Bakr, Umar and Ali. And what was between them was just a gap. Because the leadership of Uthman, it came when he was an old man, he says. And he didn't have the ruh al-Islam. He didn't have the spirit of Islam. Why? Because of politics. This is what he says about Uthman radiallahu anhu. And Sayyid Qutb continues and he says, there is not on the face of the earth a Muslim country nor a Muslim society that rules practicing Allah's legislation and Islamic jurisprudence. And this is the way of the takfeeris, following their teacher, that there isn't any Muslim country on the face of this earth. And they say that. Even though, alhamdulillah, we have Muslim countries where you have masajid, people are worshipping Allah, people can establish the worship of Allah, people can establish the 5 pillars, the 6 beliefs, they can establish that. If you go to Saudi Arabia, for example, and other countries like it, you can establish that. You can pray, you can do your Umrah, you can do your Hajj, and no one's going to stop you. And then we have other clumsy statements from Abu Hamza, for example, the Takfiri, who says a silly statement, and I'll read it to you because it's that silly and that clumsy. He says, and I'll quote him word for word, about those who go out for Hajj. What does he say? He says that it is not incumbent for those. Here it is. He says here, this is the time, he says. If we decide now to correct what the illegitimate people have done, those who have stolen the Khilafah, destroyed the Khilafah, they should be killed just for that alone. It calls to the killing of people. And he says, and Allah did not order you to go for Hajj so you can be killed or can be raped. Billah, alhamdulillah, we've done Hajj before, and some of you here have done Hajj before. Have you ever known anyone to get raped or be killed when they go for Hajj? So look at the lies that these people are spreading. Abu Hamza says that, and Allah did not order you to go for Hajj so you can be killed or you can be raped. And when it comes like that, then you are exempt from Hajj, you see. A pillar of Hajj, he said you don't have to do it anymore. Why? Because if you go, you're going to be raped and you're going to be killed. But you are not exempted from taking steps to do your Hajj by doing jihad against those people to stop and make it a safe haven for Muslims. This is Masri says in 2005. He mentions that. And a lie, and also exempting the people from doing Hajj, but which is a pillar, and making the jihad as though it's a pillar. And in fact, one of them did. Umar Abdurrahman, he said, the 6th pillar in Islam is jihad. And we all know the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, who said that the Messenger said, Bunya al-Islamu ala khams. Islam is built upon 5. So we find him adding a 6th pillar, and he called it jihad. The Prophet said 5, he adds it as a 6th pillar. No doubt, jihad has levels, and jihad has its time. And jihad is not the fasad that these people call to, nor is it suicide bombings, nor is it killing women and children, nor is it killing innocent. who don't have anything to do with any battle. But rather, when there is a legitimate battle, then jihad has its rules and regulations. And for it to even transpire, the jihad must be with quwwah, must be with strength, and must be with a leader that you fight behind. Na'am, must be a leader that you fight behind. Shaykh Muhammad al-Banna rahimahullah used as proof for that the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ib'ath lana malikan nuqatil fi sabilillah. Raise for us a leader that we will fight behind in the path of Allah. Ib'ath lana malikan nuqatil fi sabilillah. So that is proof from the Quran that you don't go out on your own in factions here and there and saying this is jihad. Jihad, al-qudum, you must have a leader that you fight behind. Not just a leader that says, I'm the Khalifa, I'm the leader. No. A leader of the Muslims that is already established. A leader of a country. A leader of Muslims that is already established. An amir, a leader. Not somebody says, I'm the leader, all of a sudden comes out of the blue. This is not from the correct way. Rather, we have many of them calling themselves leaders. We had one in Slough, in just walking down Stoke Podges Lane, saying that he is the leader, the Amir al-Mu'mineen. And we had one that came out also after him, after he got, after he died out and fizzled out. Another one said, I'm the leader, and he started doing hudud, punishment in his own house in Slough. And before that, we had somebody, Naam, calling that he's a leader in when the Russian states got carved up and so on, and when it fell, he said he is the new Amir al-Mu'mineen. And how many Amir al-Mu'mineens do we have? And each one saying, I'm the new leader, I'm the one. And also fighting amongst each other. So this is not from knowledge that is based upon the Quran and Sunnah al-Fahim al-Salaf. Rather, this is upon ignorance. Naam. So to these people, everywhere is Dar al-Harb. If it is not a Khilafah situation, to them is Dar al-Harb. And the Prophet already told us, there will be, before the Khalifa will come, there will be leaders. سيكون بعد أمراء لا يستنون بسنتي ولا يهتدون بهداي يكون معهم رجال قلوبهم قلوب الشياطين في جثمان الإنس. Hadith in Sahih Muslim. And there are many narrations in that chapter in Kitab al-Imara, from Sahih Muslim. And this is one of them. There will be leaders, the plural he used. There will be leaders. They will not follow my sunnah, nor follow my guidance. There will be with them men who will have the bodies of men in the hearts of devils. They will have the hearts of devils in the bodies of men. Naam. Fi juthman al-ins. Naam. They will have hearts of devils in the bodies of men who will be their advisors, calling them to that which is disobedience and oppression and so on. And what do we do, O Messenger of Allah? You hear and obey so long as they establish the prayer upon you. You hear and obey in the righteous matters so long as they establish the prayer upon you. So long as they are Muslim, you don't go out against them and cause more harm than good. And this is another aspect of the Khawarij. They don't follow the principle of maslaha and mafsada. That if there is corruption that is going to be caused worse than the corruption that is present, then you don't change that evil to create that greater evil. And that is a principle which Rasulullah ﷺ showed us in his seerah. The Prophet ﷺ did not kill the hypocrites of Medina, so that the people do not say, oh, the Prophet ﷺ is killing the Sahaba, because they didn't know they were hypocrites. The Prophet ﷺ didn't change that evil to create a greater evil. The man came and urinated in the masjid. The Prophet ﷺ did not stop him straight away. Rather, he advised him. He did not change that situation to create a greater evil. Maybe the man would have left Islam. He was new to Islam. And also the urine would have gone to more places than that particular area. And also, maybe his awrah would have been seen. The Prophet did not change an evil situation to create a greater evil. And also, and this is, this comes under the hadith of Abi Sa'id al-Khudri radhiyallahu anhu, من رأى منكم منكرا فليغيره بيده فإن لم يستطع فبلسانه فإن لم يستطع فبقلبه وذلك أضعف الإيمان. Whoever sees an evil, then let him change it with his hand. And if he's not able, doesn't have the ability, then let him with his tongue. And if he does not have the ability to do that, then let him hate it with his heart, and that is the weakest of faith. And also the Prophet ﷺ showed us, where he said to Aisha radiallahu anha, if your people had not been new to Islam, then I would have rebuilt the Kaaba upon the station of Ibrahim. And the Prophet also gathered the different tribes of Mecca so that they do not create a greater harm of fighting one another in order to place the black stone. So the Prophet ﷺ in his seerah showed us, don't create a greater evil. If you want to change an evil, look at the consequences. Don't create a greater evil. And what the Khawarij do nowadays and what they did in the past, to them, they don't look at this principle. Rather, they went out against Ali radiallahu anhu, they killed him. Before that, they killed Uthman radiallahu anhu. Na'am. And they continue to kill. And each time a horn appears of the Khawarij, it is cut off. And another one appears. So ISIL, or there's another group called ISIL, another group, a Naqshbandi Sufi group as well, that is doing jihad in Iraq. Another, and their jihad again, similar, is fighting and killing each other. And Jabhat al-Nusra in Syria, again, which doesn't see that these others are upon the correct way as well. And they're all fighting one another, calling each other kuffar, making takfir of each other. They don't have masla and mafsada. Children, youth, 17-year-old, 16-year-old, there were two 17-year-old girls who also left Manchester last week. To where? Where are they going? Where's their mahram? What rules and regulations are they following? Islamic? No. They are following their desires and ignorance. That they've been led astray by these individuals. Umar Bakr used to say, oh, the Magnificent 19, where is he? When he went to Lebanon, and he saw was it HMS Belfast, or the big ship that was heading back home to England, he begged them to come back home. So what happened to your jihad then? The jihad that used to go around calling the youth, yeah, jihad, jihad, jihad. What do? You end up begging the non-Muslims to come back home so that you can be with your family. What happened to your jihad then? When Lebanon was being bombed at that particular time, he was ready to get back to be in safe haven. So where are these individuals? When Arifi, who was in Cardiff, given a lecture in an Ikhwani mosque, what happened to him? When he's calling the people to go out for jihad, what happened to him? And he's shopping in Leicester Square with his family. So they don't go themselves. They're the Qa'idiyya. They're rabble rousers. Qa'idiyya calling the youth to go out and kill themselves unjustly in performing illegitimate acts, killing innocent people around them, but they themselves are the sitters. They're the Khawarij who are the sitters, or those who have Khawarij afkar, understanding, and they are the sitters. So now inshallah, break your fast inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. That is first.